Zack came back around and called me and said, I want you to meet Ben Affleck. And that's how I met Ben, and that's how I got cast as Deathstroke in Ben's Batman movie. Was basically through the Zack vouched for me.
Yeah.
And so of course that movie didn't happen, but Zack and I have all kinds of fun stuff coming up. So we've got some fun projects that are in the works. So
I love it.
It was something that we just because of circumstances of my contract with True Blood, there was just no way that situation was going to happen. So there's nothing for me to get pissed off about because it's
totally.
What can you do? You know what I mean? I was signed for 6 years on a TV show, and that was my job.
Yeah.
And but he never forgot, and so I have to really give him props for that, because as the years went on, we couldn't work together then, but he kept at it, and here we are, and now we've got some really, really cool, fun stuff on the way.
Is there anything you can tell us about what you got coming on the way with Zack? All right, we'll just have to keep watching.
Wow! Wasn't that awesome? That was Mr. Joe Manganiello himself talking about how he got involved with Ben Affleck's The Batman. And it was obviously, I knew this already, and maybe some of you didn't, some kind of introduction between Zack Snyder and Ben Affleck. Yes, Zack Snyder introduced Joe Manganiello to Ben and said to him, would you like to consider him as your Deathstroke in your Batman movie? And Ben was like, yes, this is the kind of guy I want. He's brilliant. Now, there's a bit of a backstory here with Joe Manganiello and the DCEU, because, of course, he was Zack Snyder's first choice to play Superman. So, Joe and Zack have always had a relationship. Zack's always respected Joe Manganiello. And I've said this before. I mean, I don't know what kind of Superman Joe Manganiello would be. And when I first heard this, I thought, Zack, are you freaking insane, mate? Insane. Why would anyone, and I'm being honest here, why would anyone want to cast Joe Manganiello as Superman? It just doesn't make sense to me. What kind of Clark Kent would he be? How would it even work? It would be nuts. Believe you me, if you think Zack Snyder is a divisive creative right now, cast Joe Manganiello as Superman. I don't think Warner Brothers would have allowed it personally. Henry Cavill was absolutely the right choice. And Henry Cavill had been knocking on the Superman door for years. He auditioned for Mr. J.J. Abrams as well. So, look, they got, apparently, according to Joe there, they do have some projects planned. So what can this be? Well, we know there's an Army of the Dead spin-off planned with Joe involved. So that's one of them. We know Joe has been shooting some scenes in Zack Snyder's Justice League. Now, he's still got the hair and everything that apparently he's going to have in Zack Snyder's Justice League. So he could still be doing stuff. So could the projects he's discussing be Zack Snyder's Justice League and the Army of the Dead? Is it Las Vegas or whatever it is, right? Army of the Dead spin-off, or could there be more? Could Zack Snyder and Joe Manganiello be making a Deathstroke limited series? Could Joe Manganiello be involved in Ben Affleck's The Batman if and when it's happening? And I believe it will be happening. And by the way, how rude of me! Welcome to Monday's edition of the DCEU Daily. And welcome back to Big Mouth. And don't forget to tag me over on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, making episode suggestions, making topic suggestions, or anything else you want to discuss. So let's carry on. So that's very interesting. So I will be interested to see how this develops. If Joe Manganiello, in fact, and Zack Snyder have got some, future planned DCEU projects, because that would be amazing. Great interview. It seems he's very passionate about Zack Snyder, and he should be. Zack gave him a great opportunity, and Zack's gone back to him again to give him this opportunity of being in his Justice League movie. So what Joe Manganiello is actually doing in Zack Snyder's Justice League, we will have to wait and see in the future. But there's something cooking there. I thought Joe looked great in the Justice League post-credit scene. Can't wait to see what he does in Zack Snyder's Justice League. Could be another post-credit scene. Apparently it's the original post-credit scene. But we could actually see Deathstroke as well in the Nightmare future. So we are going to have to wait and see, but it's very, very exciting. It's very exciting to be a Zack Snyder fan and a DC fan. So that's your DCEU update for today. But Scott Edwards has lured me into an interesting article, and this is an Arrowverse-centered article. So this is by Thomas Bacon. Anyway, theory, Wondergirl is set in Arrowverse's future with a new Green Arrow. This is a very interesting theory by Thomas, by the way. The CW has signed off on an Arrowverse Wondergirl series. Could it be set in 2040 featuring Green Arrow and the Canaries? The Arrowverse's Wondergirl series could be set in the franchise's future. When the CW partnered with DC TV to launch Arrow in 2012, they had no idea it would become the basis for an entire shared universe of TV shows. I think they may have known a little bit, yeah? But the Arrowverse, or the CWverse, as the network is now attempting to rebrand it as, continues to expand relentlessly. The CW has recently signed off on a most unexpected idea to date a Wondergirl series starring a character named Yara Flor. Even devoted comic book readers can be forgiven for not recognising Yara Flor's name, because in fact she's yet to make her debut. Yara Flor will be one of the original characters unveiled in DC's Future State Initiative, where she will be introduced as the Wonder Woman of 2050. Precious little is known about Yara Flor to date, but she appears to embody a very different aspect of the Amazonian heritage to that typically seen in Diana. There's clearly going to be some sort of synergy between the Arrowverse and DC's Future State. That raises the intriguing possibility the Arrowverse could be expanding in an unexpected way by travelling forward in time. Of course, they did do this in Arrow's final season, was it, with the flash forwards, or the penultimate season, if I remember rightly? So, you know, in the comics, she's from the future state. So in the TV show, she's going to have to be in the future state as well. So, literally, they could make this part of one show with Arrow and the Canaries, or this could be a new verse set in the future with Arrow and the Canaries, and they could be doing these spin-offs. I mean, it could be an absolute female-centric kind of Arrowverse franchise, but being in the CW, that's no surprise. Yara Flor will make her comic book debut in January 2021 as part of a DC Comics initiative called Future State. This is one of the boldest projects in the history of DC, and it will see the entire line replaced for the first 2 months of 2021 by comics exploring the future of the DC universe. Yara Flor will appear in a number of titles set at different points in this future timeline. The earliest is the Future State Justice League miniseries, which is set in the year 2040. She is visible on the cover of this book, but curiously appears to look a little younger. She will also appear in Future State Wonder Woman, set a decade later in 2050, when she has apparently just become Diana's successor as Wonder Woman. Both DC and the CW clearly have a lot of confidence in Yara Flor, given she's been confirmed to star in her own DC TV series before she's even made her first appearance, and begun to build a fan base. Listen, the CW just need to know that she's female or LGBTQ, and they'll give her own show. Look, I'm not being facetious here. I'm not being toxic here, but it's the truth, and we all know it. That makes DC's decision to tie her into the Future State Initiative all the stranger, because doing so actually limits what they can do with her going forward. They'll be asking Future State Wonder Woman writer Joelle Jones to create an immersive world in which she operates. But the better job she does, the harder it will be to remove her from it, so she can interact with more celebrated and famous heroes. This approach would make sense, however, if Yara Flor's future setting was actually a core part of the character's design, both in the comics and on the Arrowverse, right? Just because you set characters in the future doesn't mean you divorce them from the past. Barry can time travel. The DC universe can do some marvelous, magnificent things. So she's not actually stuck in the future. They can do different things. This is fiction. We can do anything we want in fiction, right? In the comics, it looks as though Yara Flor will be the Wonder Girl of 2040 and the Wonder Woman of 2050. The year 2040 is already significant for the Arrowverse because it is the time visited in a series of flash forwards in Arrow Season 7 and 8. Oh, they did it in both. This is the time period in which Maya Queen is destined to take her father's place as the next Green Arrow, protecting Star City from the forces of evil. In fact, Arrow Season 8 included a backdoor pilot for the series starring Mia called Green Arrow and the Canaries, which would have been set in 2040. There's been no news about this spin-off for quite some time, leading to fears that the CW has passed on the show. Whether they have done so or not, though, that doesn't necessarily mean the Arrowverse has given up on the stories set in 2040. In fact, it wouldn't be hard to connect the Wonder Girl of 2040 to the Green Arrow of 2040. Wonder Girl is confirmed to be an origin story for Yara Flor, and thus it is reasonable to assume it will discuss the Amazon tribe she is connected to, which in the comics appears to live in Brazil rather than on the island of Themyscira. Because of identity politics, obviously. That does not, however, mean she will remain in South America. In fact, purely for ease of filming alongside the rest of the Arrowverse, it would be much easier for the writers to find a way to bring her to the United States. She could even wind up heading to familiar territory, say Star City. This would allow the Arrowverse to continue establishing their own future state, featuring cameos from Green Arrow and the Canaries, and even continuing to set up their own series. If the Green Arrow and the Canary series doesn't move forward, this is the best avenue for those characters' arcs to continue. It's true, this would initially seem to mean Wonder Girl will stand a little more distance from the rest of the Arrowverse, but that isn't necessarily a problem. The Arrowverse has been particularly averse to time travel, as evidenced by the existence of Legends of Tomorrow. The crew of the Wave Rider could quite easily arrive in 2040 themselves for team-ups with Green Arrow and the Canaries. And same would be true of a Wonder Girl operating in Star City in 2040. Indeed, if the Legends built up a good relationship with Yara Flor, there's absolutely no reason for them not to call on her during major events. And that's leaving aside the fact that there are countless other ways to travel in time in Arrowverse. The most interesting question, of course, is just how this idea would dovetail with prior hints Wonder Woman exists in the Arrowverse. The island of Themyscira was itself seen in Legends of Tomorrow and Batwoman Season 1, perhaps inadvertently confirmed Wonder Woman is at large as well. Kate Kane made an offhand quip about Wonder Woman establishing her existence in the Arrowverse. If Diana is the Wonder Woman of the present day, then what is Wonder Girl's connection to her in the Arrowverse? And if Yara Flor is set to replace Diana in the future, that will happen to the Arrowverse's own Wonder Woman. The storytelling possibilities opened by 2040 Wonder Girl series are massive, so it will be exciting to see if the Arrowverse decides to explore them. Well, it's a very interesting, full and decisive article by Thomas Bacon, but we have to explore this a bit further and just say this, that Green Arrow and the Canaries is dead. They could have announced this. They've made their announcements. You know, there's Superman and Lois. There's obviously Wonder Girl herself, you know, and we've got the Green Lantern core show over on HBO Max as well. They've made their announcements. There's no Green Arrow and the Canaries. The only thing you can see from that, as he said, are kind of cameos and stuff. But I think the best thing would be just to put all these characters together in one show. That could kind of work, but you can't shine a turd. It's as simple as that. They pushed the limits of good taste when they did that backdoor pilot in a season that's supposed to be about Green Arrow, right? So they knew when they did that backdoor pilot, they knew that the ratings weren't good enough, right? There wasn't an interest there. There wasn't an interest for, Arrow and the Canaries, flashbacks or flash forwards or any of that. There's just no interest in that. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen. Now, I know the CW can afford 10 people to watch them, but even the CW need to make money. And they need to create shows that people are going to want to watch. Now, the future state idea is a really good one by Jim Lee. As they've said, for 2 months of 2021, they're only focusing on the future state. I think the future state thing's really exciting and something they should look at, not just doing in the comics, but doing in live action movies as well. But definitely what the CW are attempting to do with Wondergirl is exciting, with her, replacing Diana as Wonder Woman. Of course, we got the multiverse, so this is just one kind of verse where it's happening in, so don't lose your shit about it, of course. But yeah, I do like the future state idea. I think it's a very interesting idea, but I want to know what you think of it. Please comment down below, like, share and subscribe, and I'll be back tomorrow with even more DCEU Daily. See you again soon.